Hey guys, this is your local friendly eating disorder therapist, and I just wanted to talk today about why only about 1 in 10 people who are diagnosable for an eating disorder actually seek treatment. So across the board in mental health, we know that it's an issue that people don't always seek treatment when they could definitely benefit from therapy or other things to help their mental health. In the eating disorder community, for some reason, it is a lot more it's a lot more of a problem that people don't come and seek help when they need it. And there's 4 different reasons that I can think of as to why that is. And they are education or lack of education, lack of resources, stigma, and then lastly, denial. So when I say lack of education, I mean that a lot of schools and people don't really learn about eating disorders unless they have a loved one that goes through one and is diagnosed, or if they know somebody. I did a very non-scientific poll of a few of my friends and found out that none of them had received any sort of education on eating disorders in middle school or high school. One had received a little bit of education in a college class. But yeah, we don't really talk about this stuff unless it becomes relevant in our lives through somebody we know or through our own experience. And so I think that just overall there can be a lack of education about what an eating disorder is. It's not like what you always see on movies or even in the media, because I think there's a lot of myths and stigmas that become developed because of how the media portrays eating disorders. And so yeah, there's just a lack of education for a lot of people. And binge eating disorder is actually one of the I think it is the least sought after for treatment. So what I'm trying to say is people who are diagnosable for binge eating disorder are even less likely to seek treatment than those diagnosed for things like anorexia or bulimia. So the second one was lack of resources. In certain parts of the world and different communities, there's just not a ton of resources. Even in our local Wichita area, we have some outpatient therapists, but we don't have IOP programs yet. We don't have inpatient facilities here in Wichita. So the closest place for people to go if they have to go inpatient is actually, I think, Tulsa, and then Denver or some places in Texas after that. So even in the US, there's not always a ton of resources for eating disorders, especially specialized resources. And yeah, I think that in other countries, we know that there's even less resources. So if you are a person who's struggling to find resources in your area, please connect with me, because I do know of some people that work online, or if there's any way that I can help you get at least some help in the meantime, that would be awesome. I think my dog is joining this conversation. Hi, Nora. So the third reason is stigma. And so for a lot of people, there can be shame. There's a lot of stereotypes about eating disorders and the kinds of people that have them. A lot of people can be told that they're just trying to seek attention, that it's just a phase, when actually they're struggling with a very serious mental illness. And so because of that, sometimes people don't seek help because they really do think, hey, it's just because I'm a teen, or hey, it's just because I'm going through this phase of life, and that somehow they should be able to do it on their own. Definitely seek out resources though, because seeking it later on is when you're for sure not in a place of denial is far worse than just going ahead and getting the support and resources you need to claim your brain back. And honestly, in my opinion, if I could just kind of make sure the message is spread about how psychologically devastating this disease can be versus just focusing on the medical part of it, which is very devastating as well, and I do want to give it its due justice, but I think a lot of people miss out on seeing how much this psychologically can take over people's lives. Which leads me to the fourth point, denial. So you might think of substance abuse and how people can be in denial for years, or functioning alcoholics. I think a similar thing, even though again they're different, but a similar thing can happen within eating disorders. And for very many different reasons, people can actually really identify with their eating disorder, and this becomes a part of their life. So seeking treatment is really saying goodbye to that part of their life, and it can be a grieving experience. And so it's very hard for them to be motivated or basically to just want to get treatment in the first place. So part of it is that there's a large population within the eating disorder community that they really wouldn't seek treatment unless they had somebody who really kind of pushed them into it, forced them into it, which again, I don't know that you really can force people to do that, but yeah, or some sort of life experience that, you know, was scary enough for them to get into treatment, because a lot of people are in denial about how serious it is, and there's parts that they want to keep, and so it's really hard to go into treatment because they know that through recovery they're going to have to say goodbye to their eating disorder, and for so many different reasons that I probably can't get into in this one video, they still want to keep parts of their disorder. And so I think that's a big part of why it's also difficult to get everybody who would really benefit from eating disorder treatment into treatment. So if you have any questions or feedback about this video, I would love to answer that. And if you have a topic you want me to cover in the future, let me know, and that would be awesome. All right, hope you guys are having an awesome Monday, and I will talk to you later.